The conference room buzzed with chatter, soft voices bouncing off glass walls and polished tables. Mira adjusted her files, preparing for the next presentation, when her phone lit up with Damon's name. Normally, she would step out smiling, ready for the usual questions: how's the trip? When are you coming home? But the moment she answered, Damon's voice sliced through the noise like a cold blade. I'm divorcing you, he said flatly. No hesitation. No emotion. Almost triumphant. Mira froze in the doorway. Excuse me, she asked, thinking she surely misheard. I've already sold the apartment, he continued, his tone smug and self-satisfied. So you'll need to figure out where you're going to live. Enjoy that. For a full breath, Mira stood motionless, the conference hallway spinning slightly. His words were so cruel, so calculated, so casual that it almost felt unreal. You sold the apartment, she asked, keeping her voice steady, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing her crumble. Yeah, Damon said, chuckling dryly. Riley and I need the money to start our life together. She deserves better than that tiny place anyway. Riley. The name hit like a punch to the chest. Mira had suspected for months that someone else was in the picture. Damon's sudden late nights, mysterious work trips, the growing emotional distance, all signs she'd tried to ignore. But hearing him say Riley's name so casually, like Mira was the outsider in their relationship, ignited a fire inside her. Sounds good, Mira replied calmly. If Damon expected her to break down, he didn't know her at all. Her name was Mira, and until that phone call, she thought she'd married a man she could trust. She and Damon had been together 6 years. They'd built a life, a home, or so she believed. The apartment wasn't just real estate. It was their first symbol of stability. A cozy 2-bedroom space in the city that Mira fell in love with the moment she stepped inside. Looking back, she saw the warning signs she'd brushed aside: Damon's dismissiveness whenever she asked about finances, the way he'd pat her hand and say, I've got it handled, the charming smile he used to exit every uncomfortable conversation. She mistook arrogance for confidence. But Damon wasn't confident. He was manipulative. The rest of Myra's workday passed in a blur. She nodded through meetings, delivered her presentations flawlessly, yet her mind kept circling the same thought. He really thinks he won. Damon believed he'd pulled the rug from under her. That he could sell her home. Walk away with all the money. Start a shiny new life with Riley. But there was one crucial detail Damon didn't know. The apartment deed had been in Myra's name alone for months. After refinancing earlier that year, the bank required updated documents, and Damon had signed them without reading a single line, too self-assured to pay attention. Mira had the deed transferred to her name alone. Damon never bothered asking what he was signing. His carelessness was about to destroy him. When Mira returned to her hotel room that evening, the shock had cooled into razor-sharp determination. No tears. No panic. Damon wanted a fight. Fine. But she wasn't the one going down. The first call she made was to Ariana, her lawyer and longtime friend. Mira laid out the situation step by step, her voice calm even as adrenaline pulsed through her veins. He sold the apartment. Ariana asked, nearly choking. Does he even know he can't do that without your consent? Apparently not, Mira said, amusement slipping into her tone. He thinks he already spent the money on Riley. Ariana laughed bitterly. Well, he's in for a rude awakening. The sale is invalid. You can prove sole ownership. And if he took any money from the buyer, he's committed fraud. The word fraud sent a satisfying chill through Mira. What do we do now? She asked. Simple, Ariana replied. We notify the buyer the sale is illegal. Then we draft an official notice for Damon outlining the consequences. If he tries anything else, we take him to court. Mira hung up slowly, feeling her calm settle into place like armor. Damon thought he'd outsmarted her. But he'd just handed her the perfect weapon to destroy him. The flight home gave Mira more than enough time to think. Hours spent suspended above the clouds, replaying Damon's arrogance over and over again, only solidified her resolve. He wasn't just careless, he was stupid. So certain he had full control. So convinced Mira was too gentle, too trusting, too soft to ever challenge him. But that softness, that was gone. As soon as the plane landed, Mira powered her phone back on and dialed Ariana. "I'm back," she said, dragging her suitcase off the carousel. "What's our next step?" "We already notified the buyer," Ariana replied briskly. They were shocked. Furious, actually. "They're cooperating fully. And I sent a formal notice to Damon this morning." "And?" Mira asked. "No response yet," Ariana said. "But if I had to guess, he's livid." "Good. Let him simmer in his own mess." When Mira reached the apartment that evening, she braced herself. Damon's belongings were still scattered everywhere, his jackets draped over chairs, his shoes tossed carelessly near the door. But the atmosphere felt different now. The apartment wasn't his anymore. He just didn't know it yet. She set her suitcase down and waited. She didn't have to wait long. Around 8 p.m., the doors slammed open. Damon stormed in, face blazing red, phone clutched so tightly it looked ready to crack in his hand. "What the hell is this?" he shouted, waving Ariana's letter wildly. "You're telling me I can't sell the apartment? It's half mine." Mira didn't flinch. "Actually, Damon, it's not." He froze. "What are you talking about?" Mira walked to the dining table, picked up the folder she'd prepared earlier, and held up the deed. "This," she said coolly. "The apartment has been in my name for months. You signed that paperwork. Remember? Or did you just skim it like you always do?" The color drained from Damon's face. He stuttered. "That can't be real." I didn't." "You didn't read it," Mira finished for him. "I know." Damon's expression twisted into anger, then fear, then forced confidence again. "You think this changes anything?" he scoffed. "I already made a deal. You're going to look stupid when the buyer comes after you, not me." Mira stepped closer, her voice steady and cold. "The sale is already void, Damon. The buyer knows it. And they're prepared to take legal action if you don't return their deposit." She let the next sentence drop like a hammer. "And if you spent even 1 cent of that money, you've committed fraud." For the first time, Damon's arrogance cracked. His eyes darted away. "You don't know what you're talking about," he muttered. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about," Mira said. "You've spent years treating me like I'm too naive to notice your schemes. But guess what, Damon?" She leaned in slightly. "I've been paying attention." Damon began pacing, running his hands through his hair. "This is insane," he snapped. "You're blowing everything out of proportion. You can't just kick me out. This is my home too." "Not legally," Mira replied. "You can stay temporarily out of courtesy. But this apartment is mine. And you won't be living here much longer." Over the next few days, the situation spiraled for Damon. He oscillated between rage and desperation. Threatening texts followed by pleading ones. Voicemails full of curses, then apologies, then shouting again. Meanwhile, Mira stayed steady. Ariana was meticulous, handling every detail. The buyer backed Mira completely. Preliminary divorce documents were drafted. For every frantic move Damon made, Mira had already placed her counter. Her friend Tessa came over one evening to help sort through things. "How's he taking all this?" Tessa asked, holding one of Damon's ridiculous branded hoodies between 2 fingers like it was contaminated. "Not well," Mira said with a short laugh. "He still thinks he can talk his way out of this." But I'm not budging. Good, Tessa said, dropping the hoodie into a box labeled Damon's trash. He doesn't deserve your space. Or your patience. Together they boxed up Damon's things, neatly, carefully, without sentiment. Each item moved Mira closer to reclaiming the home she once loved. Everything was lining up. And then came the moment Mira didn't expect. Damon brought Riley to the apartment. They walked in like they owned the place, Riley's arm looped through Damon's. She surveyed the apartment with a smug, self-satisfied smile. So this is where we're staying, she asked. Mira stood from the table slowly, her heart pounding, not with fear, but with readiness. No, she said sharply. This is where Damon was staying. You, Riley, won't be staying here at all. Riley blinked, stunned. Damon's jaw dropped. And Mira felt the power shift entirely into her hands. Sophia sat on the edge of the bed, her fingers trembling as she stared at the message once more. Adil's words echoed in her mind, I need some time alone. Don't call me. That one line didn't just sting, it felt like a sign she had been trying to ignore for months. The distance, the late-night calls, the sudden change in his tone, it all made sense now. Something was wrong, and she knew it wasn't just work pressure like he claimed. She stood up, pacing the room as her anxiety deepened. For the first time in their 5-year marriage, Adil had left home without telling her where he was going. His phone was switched off, and his mother, Mrs. Zarin, acted as if nothing was wrong. Every passing hour felt like a stone pressing against Sophia's chest. That evening, Mira arrived at the house, immediately sensing that something was terribly wrong. Baji, you look pale. What happened? She asked gently. Sophia handed her the phone. The moment Myra read the message, her eyes widened. He said this. After everything you do for him. Sophia nodded, wiping her tears. I don't know what changed. He used to tell me everything. Now he talks to his mother more than me, comes home angry, and doesn't even look at me properly. Mira hugged her. Something is off. Either he has fallen under someone's influence, or... She hesitated. Or what? Sophia pressed. Or he's hiding something big. Those words sent a shiver down her spine. Sophia felt her heart sink deeper, but a strange determination began forming within her. She couldn't sit and cry anymore. She needed answers. Later that night, as the house grew quiet, Sophia heard voices outside the living room. She recognized them instantly, Adil had returned. Her heartbeat quickened. She climbed out of bed and slowly moved toward the door, stopping when she heard him speaking to his mother. Ammi, I can't stay here right now. I told her not to call me. Why can't she understand? Adil's voice was low but filled with irritation. Mrs. Zarin sighed. You're right, Beta. Leave her be. She becomes too sensitive over small things. You go rest at your friend's place if you want. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. Her own mother-in-law telling her husband to leave her. She felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Adil continued, I just need space. I can't deal with Sophia's questions all the time. Good. Stay away until she calms down, Mrs. Zarin added. Sophia covered her mouth to stop herself from crying out. She rushed back to her room, shutting the door silently. It felt like her world was falling apart, and the two people she trusted most were discussing her like she was a burden. Adil didn't even check on her that night. He left again before sunrise. The next morning, Cameron came to pick up Myra. When he saw Sophia's swollen eyes, he immediately sensed something was wrong. Tell me everything, he insisted. Sophia broke down, explaining everything she heard the previous night. Cameron's expression hardened. So he wants space. And he's taking advice from his mother instead of talking to his wife. This is getting serious. Sophia nodded. I don't know what to do. Cameron placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We will figure this out. But don't panic. Sometimes men behave like this when someone is manipulating them, or when they are hiding something. The words hit Sophia again. Hiding something. The thought gnawed at her mind. Adil had been receiving unknown calls, hiding his phone, deleting messages, and now he wanted distance. Something was definitely going on. That night, as she sat alone in the dark, Sophia made a decision. She was done waiting for answers to magically appear. If Adil was hiding something, she would find out. One way or another. The storm had only begun. The next morning, Sophia woke up with a pounding headache. She had barely slept. Adil hadn't returned home, and his phone remained switched off. Every minute felt like an hour. She kept replaying the conversation she overheard between him and his mother. I just need space. I can't deal with Sophia's questions. The words stabbed her over and over. But today, she decided she wouldn't cry. She needed answers. She sat on the bed and opened Adil's wardrobe. Maybe there was something, anything, that could help her understand what was happening. She wasn't the kind of wife who checked her husband's things, but desperation had pushed her past those limits. At first, everything seemed normal, his shirts, his watch case, office files. But then, hidden under a pile of clothes, she found something unusual, an unfamiliar perfume bottle. The scent was floral and sweet, nothing like the woody aromas Adil usually wore. The bottle looked new, almost untouched. Sophia felt her heart race. Did someone give this to him? Who? Why didn't he tell me? She examined it closely and found a tiny note taped under the bottle. Her breath stopped. For you. S. That one letter was enough to send panic through her veins. S. Who was S? She stared at her own name for a moment, Sophia. But she hadn't given him this. So who did? Before she could think further, her phone buzzed. It was Myra calling. Baji, are you okay? She asked immediately. Sophia hesitated. I found something strange. What? Come over. I need to show you. Myra arrived within 30 minutes. Sophia showed her the perfume and the note. Myra's eyes widened. This is not good. This is clearly from someone else. And the letter S, do you know anyone whose name starts with S? Sophia shook her head slowly. Only, maybe someone from his office. But Adil never mentioned anyone. Maybe he didn't mention her on purpose, Myra replied carefully. The thought made Sophia's chest tighten painfully. The possibility that Adil was involved with someone else felt like a dagger twisting inside her. But let's not jump to conclusions, Myra added quickly. We need proof. Sophia sighed deeply. I just want to know the truth. Myra squeezed her hand. Then we find it. Adil's strange behavior continues. That evening, Adil finally called. Not to ask about her. Not to explain anything. Just a short, cold line. Don't wait for me. I'll be late. That was it. No, how are you? No, I'm okay. Not even her name. Sophia felt tears burning her eyes but forced herself to stay calm. Where are you? She asked gently. It doesn't matter. I'm busy, he replied and hung up. Myra, who had been sitting beside her, looked furious. He's hiding something. I'm sure of it now. Sophia nodded weakly. But what do I do? Simple, Myra said. You watch. You observe. You gather proof. Sophia sighed. I feel like I'm losing him. Myra wrapped an arm around her. If he's yours, he won't be lost. But if he's already gone, then you need to know the truth. Sophia closed her eyes, pain spreading through her chest. She wanted to believe in Adil. She wanted to trust him. But everything, his behavior, the perfume, the secrecy, pointed towards something she couldn't ignore. The first big clue. Later that night, while cleaning the living room, Sophia heard a soft vibration under the couch cushion. Curious, she lifted it, and froze. It was Adil's alternate phone. The one he claimed he had returned to the office months ago. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. The screen was locked, but a notification flashed. Message from unknown, I miss you. When will I see you? Sophia's legs nearly gave out. Her heart hammered painfully against her ribs. She felt cold all over, her hands shaking uncontrollably. She sat down before she collapsed. This wasn't imagination. This wasn't just stress. This was something else, something real, something ugly. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Myra rushed in. What happened? Sophia handed her the phone. Myra's eyes widened in shock. Ya Allah. Adil is talking to someone else. And she misses him. Sophia felt like her entire world had shattered. But inside that heartbreak, something else awakened. Strength. Determination. If Adil was betraying her, she wouldn't run. She wouldn't break. She would find the truth. And then she would decide what came next. Sophia spent the entire night staring at Adil's secret phone. The notification kept flashing in her mind like a wound being reopened. I miss you. When will I see you? She wasn't ready to unlock the phone yet. A small part of her was terrified of what she might find. Another part wanted to throw the phone away and pretend none of this was happening. But the bigger part, the stronger part, needed answers. When Adil returned home early in the morning, Sophia pretended to be asleep. She felt the weight of the bed shift slightly as he sat down. For a moment, she wondered if he would look at her the way he used to, with warmth, softness, and love. But instead, he sighed heavily and whispered to himself. Why is everything so complicated? Sophia's heart twisted. Complicated. Marriage. Or his secrets. She forced her breathing to stay steady, pretending to be asleep. Adil stood up, changed his clothes, and left again without a single affectionate gesture. No good morning, no kiss on the forehead, not even a glance. When the door closed behind him, Sophia finally opened her eyes. Tears spilled instantly. Myra called again. Did he talk to you? No, Sophia whispered. He didn't even look at me. That's it, Myra said sharply. We're going to figure out who this woman is. Charge that phone. He must have saved her number or chats. Sophia nodded silently. Unlocking the truth. She plugged in the secret phone. Every beep echoed in her chest like thunder. When it finally powered on, she tried a simple passcode. Adil's birthday. Wrong. She tried their anniversary date. Wrong. She tried her own birthday. Wrong. Tears blurred her eyes. Why would he hide it with a password she didn't know? She kept trying different combinations until, suddenly, the screen unlocked. The wallpaper made her freeze. It wasn't her. It wasn't family. It was a picture of a sunset, with 2 coffee mugs placed side by side on a table. A romantic photo. Her heart sank. She opened the messages. The first chat was with a number saved as SK. She clicked on it. The conversation hit her like a storm. SK, missed you today. Hope you're okay. Adil, just tired. Things at home are tense. SK, you don't deserve that. You deserve peace. Adil, I feel peaceful with you. SK, when can we meet? Adil, soon. I'll tell you. Sophia covered her mouth with her hand, trying not to scream. Her chest burned, her breath broke, and the room felt like it was spinning. Her body trembled, and the weight of betrayal pressed down on her like a mountain. Adil, how could you, she whispered as tears soaked her face. The messages continued, long, emotional conversations about his frustrations, his dreams, his connection with this woman. He had never spoken to Sophia this way in months. Every word felt like a knife. The confrontation that didn't happen. That evening, when Adil returned home, Sophia wanted to throw the phone at him. She wanted to scream, cry, demand answers. But the moment she saw him walk in, calm, casual, acting like nothing was wrong, something inside her froze. Adil sniffed and frowned. Did you cook anything? I'm starving. Sophia stared at him blankly. Why are you looking at me like that? He asked. She parted her lips to confront him, but then she stopped herself. Not yet. She needed more proof, more clarity. She needed to know exactly who this woman was. So she forced a small smile. I'll warm the food. Adil nodded and went to change. Sophia watched him walk away, feeling as though she didn't recognize him anymore. How did we become strangers? Adil's mother adds fuel to the fire. Later, Mrs. Zarin called. Beta, I heard Adil is stressed because of you. You need to give him space. Sophia swallowed painfully. Amy, do you know something? Does he talk to someone else? A silence followed. A long, heavy silence. Then Mrs. Zarin said. Men get tired, Sophia. Maybe you should be more understanding. Sophia felt her pulse race. That reply wasn't normal. Amy, do you know who SK is? Sophia asked quietly. Mrs. Zarin inhaled sharply. I don't know what nonsense you're talking about. Stop creating drama. And she hung up. Sophia sat frozen for several minutes. Her mother-in-law knew something. Maybe everything. The plan. That night, Sophia called Cameron, her brother. I need your help, she said. What happened? I need to find out who SK is. Cameron's voice hardened. I'm with you. Tell me everything. Sophia finally felt a glimmer of hope. She wasn't alone. She was going to find the truth. Even if it destroyed her. For the next 2 days, Sophia lived in a mixture of numbness and determination. She cooked, cleaned, and behaved as if everything was normal. Adil acted distant, always on his phone, always busy, rarely looking into her eyes. But Sophia wasn't idle anymore. She had taken pictures of all the messages on the secret phone. She had written down the mysterious number saved as SK. And she had teamed up with her brother, Cameron, who took the situation very seriously. Before we jump to conclusions, Cameron said, we find out who this woman is. Once we know her name and her connection, everything else becomes clear. Sophia nodded. I need the truth, no matter how painful it is. Tracking SK, Cameron used some of his tech contacts to run the number through various databases. Sophia waited anxiously, pacing back and forth for hours. She kept rereading the messages, each one cutting her a little deeper. Finally, Cameron called. Sophia. I found something. Her breath caught. Who is she? The number is registered under the name Saba Khalid. SK. The initials stabbed her heart again. Sophia leaned against the wall to steady herself. Do you know her? No, Cameron replied, but she lives in the same city. And guess what? Her workplace address matches Adil's office area. Sophia's stomach twisted. So she works near him. Looks like it. Myra, who was sitting beside Sophia, whispered, Ya Allah, this is becoming clearer. Sophia closed her eyes painfully. Does Adil know her from work? Possibly. Or they meet after work. Cameron continued, there's more. Sophia's eyes snapped open. What? She's single. Mid-20s. And based on social media, she posts a lot of quotes about love, waiting, and secret relationships. Sophia felt her knees weaken. Mira immediately supported her. "I can't believe this is happening," Sophia whispered, tears filling her eyes. Cameron spoke firmly. "Listen to me, Sophia. We're not assuming anything. We'll gather proof. Once we're 100% sure, then you decide what to do." Sophia inhaled shakily. "Okay." The suspicious meeting. That evening, Adil announced casually, "I'll be late again. There's extra work." Sophia looked at him silently. For the first time, he noticed her expression. "What?" he asked irritably. "Nothing," she replied softly. "Just, take care." Adil paused for a moment, almost as if he felt guilty. But the moment passed quickly, and he left. As soon as the door closed, Sophia grabbed her phone. "It's time." Cameron picked her up. They drove toward Adil's office area and parked at a distance. Sophia's heartbeat was so loud it felt like the entire car could hear it. After almost 40 minutes, Cameron nudged her gently. "Look." Adil came out of the building. But he wasn't alone. A woman walked toward him. She matched the pictures Cameron showed her earlier. Saba Khalid. Sophia felt her heart crack open. The world blurred as tears filled her eyes. Adil wasn't touching her, but his body language wasn't cold. It wasn't formal like with a random colleague. The way they spoke, the way they smiled faintly, the familiarity. Sophia covered her mouth to stop herself from gasping. Myra whispered, "This is not good." Adil and Saba walked together toward a cafe nearby. Cameron immediately drove closer but stayed hidden. Sophia's hands were trembling uncontrollably. They sat inside the cafe, talking. Adil leaned forward, Saba looked down shyly. They weren't hugging or holding hands, but the emotional closeness was obvious. After about 25 minutes, Adil stood up to leave, but before he walked out, Saba touched his arm, gently, almost affectionately. Adil didn't pull away. Sophia's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The breakdown. She couldn't breathe. She felt suffocated. "Take me home," she whispered. Cameron nodded instantly and drove her back. The moment she entered her room, she collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. All the strength she had built up for weeks shattered in seconds. Myra held her, letting her cry. "You needed the truth. You saw it. It hurts, but now you decide what to do." Between sobs, Sophia whispered, "Why would he do this to me? What did I do wrong?" "You did nothing wrong," Myra said firmly. "A man who betrays doesn't do it because of his wife. He does it because of his own weakness." Sophia cried harder. Pretending again. That night, Adil returned late. Sophia washed her face, hiding her tears, and pretended to sleep. Adil walked in quietly, placed his phone on the table, and exhaled in exhaustion. "Sophia," he whispered. She didn't respond. After a moment, he muttered, "I hope she doesn't find out." Sophia's eyes widened. He meant Saba. Not her. And that was the final blow. She cried silently while he slept peacefully beside her. The next morning, Sophia woke up with swollen eyes and a heavy heart. Adil had already left for work, leaving only a short message on the table. "Went early. Don't wait for me." Not a single affectionate word. She stared at the note, her chest tightening with pain. She had spent years loving him, supporting him, caring for him, only to find out he was giving his attention, his time, and maybe even his heart to another woman. Sophia sat in silence for a long time before whispering to herself, "I won't let this destroy me." She picked up the secret phone again and reread the messages. The more she saw, the clearer things became. Adil wasn't just talking to Saba. He was emotionally attached. He shared things with her he hadn't shared with Sophia in months. But something bothered her deeply. There were no overly romantic messages. Nothing explicitly inappropriate. It was emotional intimacy, but not physical proof yet. Was it an affair? Or was he being manipulated? Or was he hiding something else? She needed answers, complete answers. Adil's lies start to unravel. Later that day, Cameron called. Sophia, I've been digging deeper. She straightened. What did you find? Saba Khalid is not just a girl working near Adil's office. She used to work in his company until 2 months ago. Sophia's eyes widened. What? Why didn't Adil ever mention her? Exactly, Cameron said. He hit her. Myra, who was sitting beside Sophia, whispered, they must have known each other longer than you thought. Sophia whispered back, but why hide it? Cameron continued, I also found out she submitted her resignation suddenly. No reason mentioned. It was abrupt. Sophia felt a strange chill. What if Adil had something to do with her leaving? That's one possibility, Cameron replied. But there's more. Sophia held her breath. Saba's father died 1 year ago. Her mother is sick. She's struggling financially. Sophia frowned. What does that have to do with Adil? We don't know, yet. But something finally clicked in Sophia's mind. Adil had been withdrawing money secretly. He had been acting stressed, distant, distracted. He had been leaving early, coming home late. Was he supporting Saba financially? Or helping her with something? Or hiding something he couldn't tell his wife? Sophia rubbed her forehead. This is getting more complicated. Cameron sighed. Yes. It is. But we're not stopping. Mrs. Zarin behaves suspiciously. That evening, Mrs. Zarin called again, her voice strangely sharp. Sophia, stop questioning Adil's loyalty. You are causing unnecessary trouble. Sophia clenched her jaw. Amy, I saw him with a woman. A long silence followed. You saw wrong, Mrs. Zarin said stiffly. No, I didn't. Her name is Saba. I don't want to hear it. Mrs. Zarin snapped. Women like you ruin their own homes. Sophia's hands trembled. Amy, are you protecting him? Do you know something? Mrs. Zarin hesitated. Her breath hitched slightly. Then she spoke in a cold, defensive tone. Whatever Adil is doing, he must have a reason. Don't ask too many questions. And she hung up. Sophia stared at the phone in disbelief. Whatever he is doing, he must have a reason. That was not a normal mother's response. Mrs. Zarin knew something. And she was covering for him. The emotional explosion. That night, Adil came home earlier than usual. Sophia was sitting on the bed when he entered. He seemed nervous. Guilty. Uneasy. Sophia, he said quietly, we need to talk. Her heart raced. About what? He sat down, avoiding her eyes. You've been distant lately. Secretive. Sophia felt an uncontrollable surge of anger. He was accusing her. She stared at him in disbelief. You think I'm being secretive? Adil shifted uncomfortably. Yes. You've been acting different. Sophia laughed bitterly. Adil, the only reason I'm acting different is because you've changed. He stiffened. No, I haven't. You lie every day. You come home late. You don't talk. You hide things. Her voice trembled. You don't even look at me anymore. Adil swallowed hard. I told you I'm stressed. Is Saba the reason for your stress? Sophia asked quietly. Adil froze. His silence confirmed everything. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. I saw you with her. Adil closed his eyes. Sophia, please. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. Why did you hide her? Adil opened his mouth but no words came out. That moment, his silence, was more painful than any confession. The unexpected reveal. After a long pause, Adil whispered. Sophia, you don't understand. It's not what you think. Then tell me, she pleaded. Tell me what it is. Adil looked broken. Exhausted. But instead of giving her answers, he stood up. Sophia, I can't talk about it right now. Her heart dropped. Why? I just can't. And he walked out of the room, leaving her shattered, confused, heartbroken, and more determined than ever. She wiped her tears and whispered to herself. If he won't tell me the truth, I will find it myself. The next few days were heavy and silent. Adil avoided eye contact. Sophia stopped asking questions. The house felt divided, like two strangers living under the same roof. But inside Sophia, something had shifted. The sadness had turned into resolve. She would uncover the truth, no matter how painful it was. Adil receives a mysterious message. One night, while Adil was showering, Sophia heard his phone buzz. Normally, she would never touch it. But today, her hands moved on their own. The message preview read. Adil, we need to meet urgently. They came again today. Sophia's heart pounded. They. Who are they? Why were they going to Saba? Before she could open the full message, Adil came out of the bathroom. He saw the phone in her hand, and froze. His face went pale. Sophia, why are you touching my phone? She looked up with tears forming. Adil, who is going to Saba. And why do you need to meet her urgently? Adil's jaw tightened. He snatched the phone, his voice trembling, you shouldn't be reading my messages. Sophia stood up, shaking. And you shouldn't be lying to your wife for months. Adil's eyes filled with guilt. Sophia, this isn't what you think. Then what is it? She demanded. Adil opened his mouth. But again. Like every time. He said nothing. Instead, he walked out of the room, leaving Sophia broken all over again. The investigation takes a sharp turn. The next day, Cameron and Myra came over. Cameron had more details. Sophia, he said, I found something big. She leaned in, terrified yet desperate. What is it? Cameron exhaled deeply. Saba isn't just a random girl. She's being harassed. Badly. By loan sharks. Sophia blinked. Loan sharks. Her father left huge debts behind. After his death, she became the target. They threaten her often, sometimes violently. Sophia's eyes widened. But, what does Adil have to do with this? Cameron folded his arms. That's the part one haven't figured out yet. But the threats are real. And they've gotten worse. Sophia felt her world tilt. Was Adil protecting Saba? Helping her out of guilt? Or hiding something darker? Myra said softly, Sophia, maybe Adil isn't cheating. Maybe he's just involved in something he can't share. Sophia ran a trembling hand through her hair. But why hide it from me? Why talk to her behind my back? Cameron sighed. Sometimes men try to solve problems alone. Even stupidly. Especially when they think they're protecting someone. Sophia shook her head. I need answers. From him. The showdown. That evening, Sophia waited for Adil in the living room. When he arrived, he looked exhausted, haunted. She stood up slowly. Adil, she said softly, I'm tired of guessing. I need the truth now. He looked at her. Really looked at her. And something inside him broke. Sophia. I never cheated on you. Her breath caught. But I lied, he continued. A lot. And I'm sorry. Then why all this secrecy, she whispered. Adil sat down, his hands trembling. Saba isn't just someone from work. She's my cousin. Sophia froze. You're what? My cousin, he repeated. My mother's sister's daughter. Sophia felt her legs weaken. She sat slowly, staring at him. But, why didn't you tell me? Why hide it? Adil swallowed hard. Because I promised Saba I wouldn't. She was ashamed. Embarrassed. Her father left her with massive debts, and loan sharks were harassing her. I've been helping her financially. Sophia blinked, stunned. Adil continued, voice shaky. I didn't want you to think I was taking money out behind your back. I knew you'd worry. I knew you'd try to help. But Saba begged me to keep it private, and I agreed. Sophia's chest tightened. So all those messages, the money, the stress. It was about protecting her, Adil whispered. Not cheating on you. A heavy silence filled the room. Finally, Sophia spoke. Adil, you didn't cheat. But you broke my trust. Adil's eyes filled with tears. I know. And I'll spend the rest of my life fixing that, if you let me. The final twist. Just when the tension finally began to settle. A knock sounded at the door. Adil opened it. Standing there terrified, shaking, was Saba. Her lip was bleeding. Her clothes were torn. Adil, she whispered, voice trembling, they found out you're helping me. Adil went pale. Sophia gasped. Cameron and Myra rushed forward. Saba collapsed inside, sobbing. They're coming after you now. And just like that. The truth wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a much bigger storm. The morning after everything changed, the entire city seemed quieter to Arman. The sun rose slowly, but its warmth didn't reach him. He sat alone on the hospital bench, his hands trembling as he stared at the floor. Every passing second felt like a stone crushing his chest. Inside the ICU, Mehwish was fighting for her life. Machines beeped rhythmically, but every beep sounded like a countdown. Arman had barely slept. His eyes were red, swollen, and hollow. He knew life had pushed him to the very edge, but what frightened him most was the possibility that he might lose Mehwish forever. Faisal stood quietly near the door, guilt weighing on him. Arman, Chai Luayan, he whispered, but Arman didn't respond. Instead, Arman whispered, Bas dua karo. Zindagi ab surfuski sof hi. Faisal placed his hand on Arman's shoulder but didn't dare say anything more. Inside, Mehwish lay painfully still. The doctor stepped out an hour later, and Arman immediately stood up. For a moment, the doctor didn't speak, his silence said everything. Arman, we're trying our best. But her body isn't responding. The next few hours are critical. Arman felt his knees weaken. He caught the wall to balance himself. Faisal helped him sit, but Arman pushed him away gently. Nahi, muyi bas uski pas rena hai. The doctor nodded and allowed Arman inside. Arman entered slowly, each step heavy with fear. He sat beside Mehwish and held her hand delicately, as if she might break. Mehwish, please uthjayo, he whispered. Main hargia hun, tumher bina kuch nahi. A single tear dropped onto Mehwish's hand. Her eyelids fluttered slightly. He leaned closer. Mehwish. Can you hear me? Her lips barely moved. Ar, man. His heart stopped. Han, main yahin hun. She struggled to speak, her breath thin. Hira. Arman shook his head. Please don't talk. Save your strength. But Mehwish squeezed his hand weakly. Promise me, take care of her. Please don't say things like that, Arman begged. Tum thi kojogi. Main sab thi kar dunga. She tried to smile, but her strength was fading. Her eyes slowly closed again. Arman panicked. Doctor. Doctor. Doctors rushed inside and surrounded her. Arman was pushed out. The door shut in his face. For the next 15 minutes, Arman heard nothing except footsteps, machines, and orders being shouted. Then suddenly, silence. The doctor stepped out slowly, his face drained. Arman. I'm sorry. Arman blinked. His lips trembled. Nahi, doctor, please, check again, she was talking, she was. But the doctor lowered his eyes. She's gone. Arman let out a broken sound, falling to his knees. His entire world collapsed right in front of him. The funeral was quiet. Only a few close people stood around. Hira clutched Arman's shirt, crying uncontrollably. Papa. Mama ko yutheo na, please. Arman hugged her tightly, tears pouring down his face. Beta. Mama abnahi yuthenji. Hira screamed, and it echoed painfully through the graveyard. Faisal couldn't hold back his own tears. Arman stood frozen, watching the grave being covered with soil. Each shovel of dirt felt like it was falling on his own chest. He whispered, Mehwish. I failed you. Days passed. Arman stopped speaking, stopped eating, stopped living. Hira stayed close, scared to lose her father too. One night, she brought him a drawing she made. A picture of Arman, Mehwish, and herself holding hands. Mama said families don't leave, she said softly. Arman broke down again, hugging her tightly. I know, he whispered. She didn't leave willingly. But no matter how hard he tried, the house felt empty. Every corner reminded him of Mehwish. Her voice echoed in his memories. Her smile haunted him. Her loss consumed him. He visited her grave every day, talking to her as if she were still there. One evening, he sat beside the grave and whispered. Life ended the moment you left. I'm only breathing for Hira now. The cold wind blew, carrying dry leaves across the cemetery. Arman wiped his tears, stood up slowly, and walked away holding Hira's hand. Broken, but trying to survive. Because Mehwish's final words echoed endlessly. Take care of her. And for that promise, he kept moving. Even with a heart that would never fully heal again.